The restaurant was nearly empty when Emily wiped down the last table, exhaustion settling into her bones. The clock above the counter blinked 12:47 a.m., another long shift. Just as she was about to untie her apron, the front door slammed open that a group of three aggressive men stumbled in, their loud, drunken laughter cutting through the quiet. At first, she ignored them. Drunk customers were nothing new. But then, she heard a voice that made her freeze. "I don't want any trouble. Just let me pass." Emily turned, her eyes widening. Tom Holland stood near the entrance, trying to sidestep the men blocking his way. He had his hoodie up, but even under the dim light, she recognized him immediately. The British accent, the familiar nervous energy, there was no doubt. The biggest of the three men smirked. "Oh, come on, Spider-Man. You think you're better than us?" Tom took a step back, glancing toward the counter as if looking for help. The men weren't just harassing him. They were baiting him into a fight that Emily's stomach twisted. If this escalated, things could get ugly fast. Then, before she could even think it through, she acted. Emily didn't hesitate. She dropped her apron, marched toward the group, and slid in between Tom and the aggressive men. "Gentlemen," she said, forcing a friendly smile, "I think it's time to call it a night." The biggest guy, muscular, towering, with a beer-soaked shirt, grinned down at her. "And who the hell are you?" Emily ignored the fear twisting in her gut. She knew men like this, drunk, looking for trouble, needing an audience. The only way to defuse the situation was to take control. "The one who decides whether you get another drink or get kicked out," she said smoothly. "So, what's it gonna be?" The second guy, shorter, stockier, laughed. "Look at that, Spider-Man. You need a girl to fight your battles?" Tom started to step forward, but Emily subtly reached behind her back and squeezed his wrist, a silent message. "Stay out of this. I got this." The leader's smile twisted into something nastier. "You think we're scared of you, sweetheart?" Emily didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. "No, but you should be scared of cameras." She tilted her chin toward the security camera blinking above them. Then she pulled her phone from her back pocket and tapped the screen. A bright red recording duff flashed. The leader stiffened. His buddies exchanged uneasy glances. The confidence in their eyes flickered. Drunks were stupid, but not that stupid. Emily pressed harder. "You lay a hand on him, and tomorrow you'll be famous for all the wrong reasons. Do you really want to be the guy who got arrested for attacking Spider-Man?" Silence. The leader's jaw clenched, his hands tightening into fists. For a moment, Emily thought he'd lunge at her instead. But then, with a sharp breath, he shoved his friend's shoulder. "Let's get out of here." And just like that, the tension snapped. The men stormed out, their drunken muttering fading into the night. Emily exhaled. Only then did she realize her hands were shaking. "That was impressive," Tom said behind her. His voice was quiet, but there was something in his tone, a mix of admiration and disbelief. Emily turned, giving him a tired smirk. Welcome to the life of a waitress. She expected him to laugh, say thanks, and leave. But instead, he just stood there, studying her like she was the most fascinating thing in the room. And that was when everything changed. Tom ran a hand through his curls, still shaken, but undeniably impressed. "You didn't have to do that," he said, his voice softer now. Emily chuckled, shaking her head. "Trust me, this isn't the first time I've had to break up a fight, but it's definitely the first time I had to do it for a celebrity." Tom's lips curled into a smirk. "And you handled it better than my own security would have." She shrugged. "Well, when you've spent years working a place like this, you learn to read people. And those guys? They just wanted attention. Giving them a way out was the best way to shut them down." Tom was quiet for a moment, still looking at her as if seeing her for the first time. "That was really brave." Emily let out a short laugh. "Bravery? More like survival instinct." But Tom wasn't done. He tapped his fingers on the bar, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. Then, suddenly he asked, "Do you like working here?" Emily blinked, caught off guard. "I mean, it pays the bills." "That's not what I asked." She hesitated, then sighed. "Honestly? No, but I don't have much of a choice." Tom nodded slowly, as if filing that information away. Then, to her complete and utter shock, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a card, and slid it across the bar toward her. Emily frowned, glancing down. It wasn't a credit card. It was a business card. Tom Holland Productions. Her stomach flipped. "What is this?" she asked cautiously. Tom leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked on hers. "I don't know exactly what you want to do in life, Emily, but something tells me you're capable of a lot more than breaking up bar fights. If you ever decide you want something different, give me a call." Emily's breath caught in her throat. Got a job offer? From Tom Holland? She stared at the card, then back at him. "Are you serious?" Tom grinned. "Dead serious. People like you? They deserve more than just scraping by." Her fingers curled around the card, her heart hammering. For the first time in a long time, hope flickered inside her. Emily sat in her tiny studio apartment, staring at the card in her hand. Tom Holland Productions. It felt surreal, like some kind of elaborate prank. Could he really be serious? She chewed her lip, her mind spinning. What if she called, and it led to nothing? What if it was just a casual offer he made in the moment? But what if it wasn't? Her phone lay on the table, daring her to make the call. "Screw it," she muttered, snatching it up. With a deep breath, she dialed the number on the card. IT rang twice before a smooth voice answered. "Tom Holland Productions. This is Adam speaking." Emily hesitated. "Hi, my name is Emily Carter. Tom Holland gave me this number and told me to call if I was looking for something different." There was a pause. Then, Miss Carter, Tom mentioned you. Can you come in tomorrow morning for a meeting?" Her stomach flipped. "Tomorrow? Yes. Is that a problem?" Emily barely processed the words. He really had meant it. "No, not a problem at all," she rushed out. "I'll be there." She hung up, her heart pounding. This was really happening. Emily had never been in an office this nice. The sleek, glass-walled conference room overlooked the city skyline, and she felt wildly out of place in her second-hand blazer. Then, the door opened, and in walked Tom. "Emily, you actually came." He grinned, gesturing for her to sit. She nodded, trying to suppress her nerves. "I mean, you did say to call?" Tom chuckled. "Yeah, I did. I'm glad you did. So, tell me, what do you want to do?" Emily blinked. "A what? In life? What's your dream?" She hesitated. No one had ever asked her that before. She had spent so long just surviving that she had forgotten to dream. Finally, she took a deep breath. "I've always wanted to be a writer, but dreams don't pay rent." Tom leaned forward, his expression serious. "They do, if you chase them." He slid a contract across the table to Emily's eyes widened. "What is this?" "A job offer." Her hands trembled as she flipped through it. It was a junior writing position, steady pay, benefits, and a real shot at breaking into the industry. She looked up at him, overwhelmed. "Tom, this is insane." "No, it's not. You stood up for me that night. You helped me when you didn't have to. Now, let me help you." Tears pricked her eyes. For the first time in years, someone believed in her. And just like that, her life changed forever. The moment Emily signed the contract, her world shifted. It felt like stepping into an entirely different reality. One where opportunities weren't just for other people, but for her, too. Her first day at Tom Holland Productions was a blur of introductions, training, and learning the ropes of the entertainment industry. It wasn't just any company. It was a powerhouse of creativity, with writers, producers, and directors working together to create the next big hit. But Emily wasn't just handed success. She had to earn it. "You're talented," Tom had told her, "but talent without work ethic means nothing. Show them what I see in you." So she did. She stayed late, studied scripts, and took notes from the best in the room. There were struggles. The industry was fast-paced, and she sometimes felt out of her depth. She doubted herself, wondering if Tom had made a mistake hiring her. Until one night, when she was working late, Tom walked by her desk and noticed the screenplay she had been scribbling in her free time, that he picked it up, flipping through the pages. "You wrote this?" Emily's heart pounded. "Yeah, just something I was messing around with." Tom nodded slowly, a small smirk playing on his lips. "It's good? Really good." He looked at her, eyes shining. "We need to talk." A week later, Emily sat in another meeting. This time, not as an employee, but as a writer. Tom had shown her script to the creative team, and they had loved it. It wasn't a full feature film, but they wanted to turn it into a short production for an online series. Emily could barely believe it. The first time she saw her name in the credits, she cried. The first time she watched an actor bring her words to life, she felt like she was dreaming. And the first time Tom patted her on the back and said, "Told you dreams pay rent," she finally believed it too. Months passed. Emily wasn't just surviving anymore. She was thriving. One evening, after a successful script read-through, she found herself walking past a familiar diner. She stopped outside, staring through the window. The same waitress she used to be was now serving customers. It felt like a lifetime ago. She stepped inside, and the owner recognized her instantly. "Emily, haven't seen you in a while. What are you up to?" She smiled, placing a generous tip on the counter. "Chasing dreams." As she walked back out into the night, she felt something deep inside her shift. She had gone from being a waitress to a writer, from being the girl who cleaned up after others to someone who created worlds with words. And it had all started with one night, one fight, and one person who believed in her. Sometimes life changes in an instant. You just have to be ready to grab it when it does.